And welcome back. It's another exciting adventure of Downbelow, and hopefully it's exciting for you as it is for us.
Probably not.
Well, we'll strive to make it so anyway. Last time we talked about story, and we talked about the space at the table being the most important. We also, however, talked about the fact that there are two other sides to any given story.
And both of these sides feed into what happens at the table. So that's what we're going to talk about now.
And we're going to start with the side that usually has the most discrete viewpoints, by which we mean the players, because usually there are more players than there are GMs.
So in the system that we're designing here, the players get to feed their desires directly into the game, both through the traits they put on their character sheet and the actions they choose to take in the world. The players have a huge amount of direct control, more than in most RPGs, because in most RPGs, the players get to, as mentioned, write down things on their character sheet, although they have a limited set of what they are allowed to write down. Technically, you've got a limited set of what you're allowed to write down here, too. But instead of being limited by the rules having a specific list of this is what exists, you are limited here in a negotiation with the GM based on an interpretation of does this make sense in the world. But you have a similar set of what's written down and what you choose to do. The main expansion of player input into this process that we put down is the players get to know what the outcome of their action will be based on success or failure before they take it. And they get to change what they're going to narrate themselves doing based on that knowledge and based on that negotiation.
Now, by the nature of the game, here's something that we have not done, and this actually bears stating here. The ways in which the players and DM dictate the world is actually different. Just as in most other role-playing games, certainly all the ones I could name off the top of my head, the player's primary avenue into the world is through the avatar of the character. And while we've allowed the players to literally dictate success or failure of their actions within certain constraints, we are not allowing the players to dictate success and failure of events outside the character's scope of influence. You could use a character's trait to say that the gunman fires at me, the bullet goes wide and hits the air conditioner next to me. You could not say the ceiling air conditioner miraculously falls through the ceiling, pinning the gunman under it, without your character in some way interacting with that. You don't actually have control over the script, just control over the narrative, if that makes sense.
You could, for example, have a contact who is on your character sheet either as a primary trait or as a right tool for the right job type of trait, and you could narrate as a player that that contact spontaneously contacts you for something, but that's because it has been put into your sphere of control by being on your character sheet.
So the way, the big viewpoint of every particular character story, and this is something that any of you who have experience in role-playing games can probably back up. Traditionally, and again, in every one I can name off the top of my head, the way the players interact with the entire game is through the eyes of their character. If they're concerned about another character's story, this is going to sound bad when I say it, but they're actually probably more concerned with how their character's story intersects with that other character's story, except as an onlooker. They're probably not personally invested in the outcome of the other player's story. And that's okay, because that's largely how we go through life, in a way.
Yeah, we only can see from our own perspectives, and imagining the other person complexly can be difficult, and we actually embrace that by encouraging people to use their perspective to feed into the story as players. So next time we're going to talk about GMs and what we give them as inputs into the story. So stay tuned, and thanks for falling through the cracks with us.